Hi there, my name is Gray and welcome to Look and Learn. Today I'm joined by my very special friends, Dr. Robika Mylroie and her daughter, Lala.
Hi, I'm Robika, and I'm one of the co-authors of the book we're going to read today called Are You Masking? Feelings About COVID-19. I wrote this with two of my best friends who are also counselors, Dr. Rachael Whitaker and Dr. Anna Selby. And this book is talking about feelings of anxiety and worry throughout with COVID and how we as parents and caregivers can help children feel a little bit better about it, as well as talking through it and talking about the emotions that kids are feeling right now during some of these really hard times.
Hi, I'm Lala, and I'm her daughter. And in the book, I am the main character on the front. And then this is my cat Johnny, and he is personificated as my nerve that I have when I'm feeling nervous.
Yes, so in this program, Robika and Lala will read for the storytime portion, and then we'll join my friends Turner and the galleries of the 2021 Mississippi Invitational. After looking closely at an artwork in the galleries, we'll join my friend Mary for step-by-step instructions on an art-making activity you can do with your family at home. So stay tuned, and thank you for joining.
This is the book, Are You Masking? Feelings About COVID-19? And it is one of a series of books that Dr. Whitaker and Dr. Selby and I are writing about different feelings and emotions. Lala was in second grade. She'd been having fun all year. Then she heard a brand new word that made all the fun seem to disappear. Coronavirus, it was called. It sounded mighty strange. Then suddenly, to her surprise, her world began to change.
She didn't get to say goodbye to her teachers or her friends. Ballet, gymnastics, and soccer, it all came to an end.
Lala's parents watched the news, and everything she'd see was sadness, anger, loss, and pain. She started fearing the TV. But sometimes it was on all day. Her parents did not observe. Lala started changing. She began to lose her nerve.
In an attempt to reconnect, Lala tried to virtually meet. She could call her friends throughout the day. It was a needed treat. When Lala talked with her friends, she found to her surprise, they all felt the same way. COVID was scary in all their eyes.
Parents started to work from home. It felt like a party every day, unless they had a meeting, which really got in the way.
Darby started noticing she felt a bit askew. Her moods were on a seesaw. Up and down, she never knew.
Ava and Asher were a little older. Siblings were these two. When Corona hit their house, the place became a zoo.
Their parents would say, go outside, but stay away from Mary. Her mom could get really sick if COVID muted Gary.
Even though their feelings were not all the same, she knew it was important that each feeling had a name.
Lala sat her parents down. She expressed her fears. Her parents then held her tight and let her cry her tears. Her parents hadn't realized there was something wrong. She'd kept her feelings inside. They were there all along.
They did not try to talk her out of the feelings that she had. Instead, they offered love to her. She began to feel less sad.
Emotions can seem scary if you hold them in. When you unmask your feelings, the healing can begin. Masks can come in different styles: anger, fear, or worry. It's all about reaching out that gives your emotions a voice
Lala's nerve every now and then sometimes wants to leave. She talks it out with her parents now, and her nerve she can't retrieve.
My advice is to find a person to whom you can talk, a counselor, parent, or teacher, a friend, to support your emotional work.
And at the end of the book, we talk about what you can do as parents and caregivers to help with your kids if they're experiencing any kind of anxiety, worry, nervousness. And we have at the back of the book some pages for drawing and for writing and journaling. And that was one of the things we did with Lala when COVID first started out, and we would take walks, a lot of things about mindfulness, so being very aware of what you're hearing and seeing and feeling can help you become mindful in the moment, and really a lot of deep breathing can also help with relieving that anxiety and that worry.
And there are a lot of different pages to write or draw, or you can do both.
So thank you, Robika and Lala, for reading our Storytime book today. If you enjoyed this reading and would like your own copy of this storybook and workbook for your loved one or someone that you know, make sure to stop by the museum store to pick up your very own copy. All right, let's go join my friend Turner in the galleries. Follow me. Hi, Turner.
Hi, Gray.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for showing us into the galleries of the Mississippi Invitational.
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you all today. This is a show that we actually have every 2 years, and when we host it, it's a juried show, which means that we have a guest curator, who this year was Danielle Burns Wilson. So that means that she picked out all of the pieces of art we have here in the show. And when she was looking at all the art in this exhibition, she was looking for pieces that represent and reflect the voices and experiences of this time. And there are 42 Mississippi artists that all currently live or work in the state. Let's go look at a piece now. Hi, I'm Turner. I am the Educational Fellow here at the Mississippi Museum of Art. Today we'll be looking at this piece of art by Coulter Fussell entitled Home. And so before we get started in our close looking, let's just take a moment and observe the piece we'll be looking at today. So as we're looking, what colors have y'all noticed? How would you describe those colors? Are they warm? Are they bright? Are there any darker colors? Are the colors grouped in any particular way that you noticed? Do we have certain sections of colors around the piece? And do you see your favorite color in here? You may have been expecting to see a painting today. This doesn't look like a painting, does it? What materials do you think are used here? Do you see any materials that are familiar to you? You might see that there are a lot of fabrics here. That's because this is actually a quilt. Traditionally, quilts are thick padded blankets used as bedding. Often, quilts are made with scraps of fabric that can be old or new. In this quilt, do these pieces of fabric look like they are old or new? You may have noticed that a lot of these pieces look like they've been used before. Well, actually, this artist only uses pieces of fabric that have been donated to her. So all of these pieces of fabric have a history behind them. They've been used before. I know when I look at this, I see a bunch of different fabrics that remind me of things that I'm familiar with. So for instance, when I look over here and there's text on a piece of fabric, I think of a t-shirt. What about this large piece of fabric? Where would you find a piece of fabric this big? It looks really soft to me, so I think of it as being a blanket. Is there anything else in this quilt that you've noticed that is familiar to you? I know to me, I immediately looked at this up here. What do you think this is? Did you say lampshade? What other 3D materials do you see in this quilt? 3D means that it's coming off of the wall or out of the quilt. Maybe you saw this suitcase. While this quilt is not traditional, it still has a story to tell. In this, we've seen elements like a lampshade, a large blanket, or even a t-shirt. What do all these elements have in common to you? What story do you think the quilt is telling? This piece was actually made by Coulter Fussell in 2020 and is titled Home. When asked about this piece, the artist Coulter Fussell said, "This quilt was made with the concept that you can open the suitcase and pull out your quilt, which is the bedside lamp, the lamplight, the chenille bedspread big enough for you and your children, the shell-printed wallpaper, the gray silver static of a TV screen, the view of a tree and sunlight through a window, the dark velvet floral curtain, the hopeful mantra on repeat. All the things you need to make a room which can be your new home. And when you need to, you can pack it all back in the suitcase to take it with you to the next place you have to go."
Wow, Turner, thank you so much for leading us in close looking. I learned so much about the artist Coulter Fussell.
I'm so glad you could join us. We had a great time.
Now, follow us to the classroom as we meet our friend Mary, who's going to lead us through an art-making activity inspired by this work.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm the Director of School and Teen Programs here at the Mississippi Museum of Art. I'm lucky to get to work with Gray and Turner, and especially lucky to get to be a part of this Look and Learn program today. Today we're going to be making a paper quilt collage in response to the work that you just saw with Turner in the galleries. 2020 and 2021 were really tough years. We faced a lot of uncertain times and a wide range of emotions. Earlier, you read a book that followed characters that were learning how to name and acknowledge their feelings and how to work through them. Sometimes it can be hard to work through feelings. Sometimes you do it through speaking, through listening to music. Other times you work through feelings by looking at art or even making art. And that's what we're going to do today. The work we're going to make is inspired by home. Now let's think about home. Is home a physical place? Is home a feeling? What do you think of when you think of home? What objects are in your home? Are there lamps with lampshades? Are there suitcases? Are there blankets? What about your stuffed animals? What about your toys? Think about the items from your home that make home feel like home to you. What materials are you going to use, and how are you going to showcase the idea of home? In order to make the work of art that we're going to do today, we need some materials. The materials that you're going to need are paper. You'll need a paper base for your collage and also a paper for writing. It can be a scrap paper too. You might need some colored bits of paper, some colored scraps of paper, some bits from a magazine. You'll need glue, either liquid or glue stick, both are great. Some drawing utensils. I've got some crayons and some colored pencils. And I got some extra magazines in case I want to pick more pictures. And scissors. On your blank sheet of paper that you got, we're going to make a list, or we're going to draw some ideas. So grab your blank sheet of paper and one of your drawing materials, and we're going to write out some words or ideas that make us think of home. So I'm going to write my bed. I'm also going to write plants. I have a lot of plants in my house. I'm also going to write cats. I have 2 cats. I'm going to write warm. My home is warm. I'm going to write bright. I have a lot of windows that let in a lot of sunlight. I'm going to write food. I like to eat snacks. What are you writing? So now that I've made my list, I've got to think about how I'm going to showcase the items on this list. How will I show a bed or cozy? How will I show bright? I'll probably use the color yellow or bright pink. I'm going to think a little bit about how Coulter made hers to show some of these things too. I'd love to see a quilt with cats in it. Now we're going to use the materials that we gathered to create these items on our list. So look at your list and what you put on it. How am I going to create plants? Well, I will probably cut them out of a green piece of paper, or I might flip through a magazine and find plants that already exist. Our next step is to take our base paper and start laying out what we've cut out. So I've cut a lot of different shapes of color because I was really inspired by the way Coulter had big blocks of color and pattern. And these colors mean different things for me and represent different rooms or items in my house. So I'm going to spend time kind of laying them out on top of my base paper to figure out what looks best and where things should go. I've found a pleasing layout of all of the objects and colors and shapes that I've cut out, so I'm starting to use a glue stick to put all my shapes and colors down. So once you have all your shapes and colors and the layout that represents home to you, and you have all of the items that give you the feeling of home in place, you can add embellishments like I did. I added some rickrack because my mom sews. You can even take it a step further and put your completed quilt square next to another family member's completed quilt square and see what kind of a larger image you guys created. If you want to share your creation with us, which we would really love to see, please share it on the Mississippi Museum of Art's Facebook and Instagram. Our Instagram handle is @MSMuseumArt.
And make sure you come visit us before the Mississippi Invitational closes on November 7th, 2021. And if you stop by on November 6th, we'll be having our family day entitled Mississippi Makers, where if you come by, we'll have a limited number of art kits available with different activities inspired by the works in the show.
Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual Look and Learn today. If you would like to purchase your own copy of the workbook and storybook that we read earlier, Are You Masking Feelings About COVID-19? It will be available in our museum store, which is open Thursday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sundays from noon to 5. We hope to see you all soon at Family Day.